Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, your host for this episode. What it means to lack surrender and how that traps you into suffering. A lack of the ability to surrender and how that traps you into suffering. Okay, we're going to dive in and understand what it means. The way of surrender is the third universal way of oneness out of 20. It's number 3 out of 20, the way of surrender. Okay. And understanding what this means is really critical. When people are healing, evolving, raising their level of consciousness, they are often completely trapped in resistance to what is. And that rigidity, that resistance locks you into the vibrational frequency that you're currently experiencing that you no longer want to experience. Resistance to what is. Now, before I continue, and we understand this better, this is one of the biggest hurdles that people have to clear in order to awaken and get out of their current situations. It's important to understand that. It's one of the biggest hurdles to clear. Okay. It's what keeps people stuck for the longest time in their emotional pain and their unhealed wounds and their unhealed inner child and their traumas that are not healed is the resistance to what is. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what that means. But it's really critical to understand as we continue with this episode that when people talk about surrender, and I've heard them, I heard one man who's fairly popular, a third dimensional unconscious man who's a coach, quote unquote, a coach, who's telling people that when you hear people talk about surrender, don't listen to them. It's a red flag and all this bullshit. He is psychotic. That is the person and the people who don't have the slightest clue the spiritual definition of surrender means. They are then teaching you to get trapped and locked into a matrix that you don't want to experience. And I want you to understand how, why. Okay. I'm going to explain how and why. Because knowing just this much will help to loosen up and free you from whatever it is that you're experiencing that you no longer want to be experiencing. Stop with the manifestation bullshit. Don't waste your time energetically. I mean, you can. I'm never going to judge you. You do whatever the hell you want. I want you to do the things that actually elevate you and work. And I'm not saying work for your ego or your unhealed shit or your shadow self and perpetuate what is going on in your life, the lower vibrational frequencies. When I say I want this to work for you, I want you to elevate out of your current experience that you don't want to experience anymore. You don't have to manifest anything to do that, for Christ's sake. It's the wrong approach. It's the third dimensional unconscious approach to, trying to get things that we want to experience in life. Let's manifest it. Get out of that. I'm not going to teach you that nonsense because for the most part, it's nonsense. Okay. It doesn't mean there's not truth in some of it, but I want to steer you down a different path because I'm a teacher of oneness consciousness. I'm going to guide you down a path of oneness. That means elevating your level of consciousness to that of a being of oneness consciousness. So the way of surrender, number 3 out of 20 of the universal ways of oneness. What does surrender actually mean? Whatever it is that you're experiencing, I don't care how crappy, how terrible, how horrific, how scary, how bad, how miserable, the degree of suffering, no matter how bad it is, the way of surrender teaches you that energetically you need to transform yourself into an energy that flows and is not rigid, is not in the vibrational frequency of resistance. Okay. So you need to think of surrender. If I lack surrender, if I'm not surrendering to this, if I am not the way of surrender to this right here, right now, and that means energetically, vibrationally, it means I am in resistance. You're only one or the other. You're not both. Think about that. Do you have resistance to what you're experiencing? Now, come on, an easy answer to that. If you're experiencing something where you're miserable, an easy answer to that for many people is yes, because I don't like this and this sucks. Think about that. That's a normal human emotion. That's not wrong or bad. I don't like this. This sucks. I don't want this to be happening. Those are examples of resistance, resistance, resistance to what is. What happens when you see, this is where you have to learn about energy. Okay. What happens when you are emotionally, your emotional programs, and mentally, your mental programs are in resistance to what is happening right now. When you're in resistance to your situation, I don't like this. This is bullshit. This isn't fair. Those are mental programs of resistance. Okay. Your emotional programs of resistance could be anger, frustration, hopelessness. Okay. You'll feel that suffering emotionally, mentally, emotionally. So you are running programs of resistance, mental programs of resistance, emotional programs of resistance. Okay. And as long as you're in those vibrational frequencies with what you see, what you're experiencing, what you don't like and you don't want to have happen, then you are in rigidity. You are literally linking in. This is energetically, is why everything we do at Masters of Self University, we're teaching you energy, whether you realize it or not. Energetically, you are locking into the pattern, the energetic reality that you don't want. You are in training to it by being in resistance. It means you're matching your energy to the shit you don't want to experience. You're locking into that. And then you are, because you're locking into that, you are preventing yourself from being able to evolve and flow out of it, rise above it. You have to rise above it, which means you have to change your energetic frequency. Okay. This frequency of the shit you're experiencing, whatever that is for you, when you're in this frequency, that's the frequency of the shit you're experiencing. Okay. That's the frequency. It has its own frequency, it has its own matrix. That's what a matrix is. And by you being in resistance, I don't like this. This sucks. This is unfair. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I'm giving all my negative attention to this thing that I don't want, don't like. I'm locking my energy and I am joining realities with it. I am saying, ooh, this is terrible. And then I'm going to keep myself in it. I'm going to lock myself energetically in this matrix, in this reality that I don't like. And that is where, oh my God, I need to manifest. Oh, I need to do that. No, you need to transform and alchemize your emotions, your emotional programs, the thoughts you think, your mental programs, alchemize those, nurture yourself, because this thing really is shitty. And as soon as you alchemize those and become the way of surrender, all of a sudden your energy is in flow. You're not resisting what is, you're seeing the truth in what is. And you're transforming your energy, your vibrational frequency into a fluid, flowy energy that is now in sync with the whole universe, which means you can rise up and flow out, rise higher than the crap you were in yesterday. Okay. You're transforming your energy from rigidity and resistance to fluidity and flow. That is the way of surrender. That is the way of surrender. It is an energetic vibrational frequency that you become. Okay. So when you're experiencing something you don't want to be experiencing and it really sucks, this is what we teach at Masters of Self University. Well, first, you learn how to drop in. You connect to your heart, you connect to your divinity, you connect to your light, you become the love and nurturing for the emotions, the emotional programs, and the mental programs, that mental anguish, that emotional anguish that you feel, the resistance, the rigidity, the frustration, the anger, the hopelessness, the I want to fight and fight back and I hate everyone right now. Whatever that is for you, you first learn what it means to surrender to your own internal emotions and your mental emotional programs about it surrounding that thing. because that's where you start to alchemize and transform your reality. It starts inside. Okay. The way of surrender allows you to see what is and not fight against it energetically. It doesn't mean I give up, I surrender, I give up. That's not what it means. That's not a spiritual definition of the way of surrender. That is what the definition is that they give you in a third dimensional reality when you're in the military or you're fighting war. You give up, you surrender. Okay. In order to vibrationally rise up to a higher vibrational frequency than the one you are currently experiencing, you cannot be in rigidity. You cannot be locked into that reality with your energy. You have to become flexible. You have to become fluid. You have to become flowy energy that can rise higher. If you're rigid, you're not going anywhere. If your energies are rigid, if you're being stubborn, if you have to be right, if you have to be, those energies are locked in. They're locking you into the same reality over and over and over and over and over again. You're not going to experience anything that is a higher reality, a higher vibrational reality. Okay. So it is critical, and it is also the way of surrender. It is critical to become the way of surrender because it means that I can become expansive, divinely expansive. Rigidity and resistance locks you into a contracted state. It makes you smaller. It makes you unable to do anything and go anywhere energetically or vibrationally. You want your situation to change, you have to flow out of it because the universe is nothing but flow. It's nothing but fluidity. It's constantly changing and creating and recreating and creating new things and offering trillions upon trillions of, infinite vibrational frequencies and realities to choose from. So when you're in resistance or rigidity, you are in a contracted state and you're locking yourself into this smallness that this has to be my reality. Now, the tricky part about that is, as a normal, functioning, healthy human, you're going to experience something shitty and you're going to have a negative emotional reaction to it, more often than not. Like, if this isn't pleasant, I don't like this. I don't want this. And right there, when that happens, you're locking yourself into that reality so it can't change and go anywhere. That is now solidifying that reality. And the longer you are in resistance to that reality, the more energy you are using to solidify that reality or that particular matrix. And you wonder why you trap yourself in suffering, because we're not taught energetics like this growing up at this level.
Quick announcement, podcast listeners. We are currently enrolling our August group class. We will begin August 12th, Monday at 5 p.m. PST. That will be 8 p.m. EST. So if you are ready, you've been listening to this work, you're feeling a nudge. Yes, it's time to start this work. It's time to start awakening to your programs for real, to elevate your consciousness and obviously transform all the pain that's blocking you from becoming the best, most loving version of yourself. So if you are ready for this journey of inner transformation, please sign up for a free consultation in the show notes below. And I look forward to seeing you there. Enjoy the rest of this podcast.
Okay. So I become the way of surrender. I am the way of surrender. I learn what it really means. And the only way to become in flow and become the way of surrender is to see and identify with an acute level of self-awareness. What programs am I running? What inner child wounds got activated in this situation? What do I need to see and own regarding myself? So the way of surrender, I told you, it's number 3. The first 2 ways of oneness are included in the way of surrender. Every universal way of oneness, you do not function at that vibrational frequency of that way of oneness without achieving the vibrational frequencies of the previous ways of oneness. Okay. Every previous way of oneness helps to make up the next way of oneness. Okay. The first way of oneness, excuse me, is the way of responsibility. So what do I need to see? If I'm becoming the way of surrender, What do I need to see about myself? What mental programs am I running? What emotional programs am I running? What behavioral programs am I running? What inner child wounds are being activated and triggered inside of me right now? I alchemize those. That is my responsibility to see in this shitty situation that I don't like, what my shadow self is doing in this scenario. What low vibrational frequencies that I run that I am activating or that got activated in this situation. And it is my job to heal and alchemize out of those. That is my responsibility. That's the way of responsibility. To pause, to breathe, take a breath with this because this is unpleasant and it sucks. I don't like it. This is the way of patience. That I just push pause. I take a breath. I am the way of patience because I can be patient with myself and this scenario because I'm divine enough to become the way of patience. I am the way of patience. I can become patient enough to do the inner work. What are my programs running? What are my unhealed inner child wounds or my unhealed traumas that are showing themselves to me right now that are locking me into this reality that I don't want to be locked into? And when I see it for what it is, I become the way of surrender. I surrender into this. It means I don't resist what's happening because that would make me insane. This is happening. Whether I like it or not, this is happening. Whether I like it or not, this is happening. If I am in resistance, I create extreme emotional and mental suffering for myself and for those around me. Okay. If you experience a horrible tragedy, a loved one, and I just had somebody that is in my circle, and for confidentiality reasons, I'm going to be careful what I say. Somebody that I care about very much. And their mother just got into a terrible accident. Terrible accident. Okay. And a car crash, possibly paralyzed. And in this scenario, the way we've been conditioned, our knee-jerk reaction, of course, is going to be anguish, fear, sadness, rigidity, resistance to what is. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. I don't want this to be happening. Oh my God. Guys, those are normal human emotions. There's nothing wrong with those emotions. When you are a being learning oneness consciousness, you see what is happening here and you see the truth in it. You cannot change that this person was in an accident. It's already done. Do you understand? So resistance creates extremely painful suffering for you and everyone around you. Not easy. When we have been raised in separation consciousness and in nothing but resistance and rigidity and all the things that have been conditioned in us, it is not easy. And it doesn't mean you don't get triggered into resistance ever in life, ever again, by becoming the way of surrender. It's not what it means. You're a normal, healthy human is going to have resistance when they hear. It's devastating to hear something like this. It's awful. Okay. But if you are somebody who is a student of oneness consciousness teachings, in real time, you very quickly realize this is devastating and I can start healing myself right now so that I can become the way of surrender. I'm not resisting what is. That doesn't help anybody. It creates tension. It creates contraction. It locks you into this reality. What I want to be, what I want to become as a being of oneness consciousness, I want to become a being that in that instant that I hear this terrible news, I'm shocked, I'm devastated, I'm crying or angry or frustrated or scared or sad or panicked. I am going to drop in and I am going to heal in real time what is coming up for me so that I can in real time process what's happening so that I can in real time become the way of surrender and flow with what is. That allows me to be very grounded in my divinity, grounded in my light, my divine nature, which means I can then move through this scenario grounded in my own divinity. How peaceful and wonderful and evolve from the way of surrender into the way of truth, because that's the next way of oneness. The truth is you're seeing everything of what really is, not making up stories in your head. You're not panicking and going into what if, what if, what if, what if, what if. What is the truth in this present moment? The truth leads us to the way of presence. To be able to become the way of presence for myself and for the person who was in the accident and for other loved ones. That is what a divine being of oneness consciousness has the power and the ability to do. This is oneness consciousness teachings. It never, ever, ever, ever means you are suppressing your own emotions. That's not oneness consciousness. That's the third dimensional matrix of what we all have grown up in. You don't suppress and ignore your own emotions. You actually take care of them first. And when you are a master at this work, you can do so in a matter of minutes, and also then ongoing as you move through your day, ongoing as the fear hits again, as the grief hits you again, because it'll kick you in the gut. You learn this work, you rinse and repeat. You drop in, you process, you expand, you become the way of surrender. The way of surrender heals and alchemizes suffering, period, end. Because I can become the divine spaciousness, universal spaciousness in this scenario for myself and everybody else involved. I can become the divine spaciousness, the divine expansion that is needed, that benefits, that offers love and nurturing to everybody involved. If I am contracted, if I am in rigidity, I am going to harm everybody around me energetically. That means emotionally and mentally. Think about this. If you go to visit your loved one who has had this horrible thing happen and they're in the hospital and they're scared to death, they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's going to happen to them. It could be the worst case scenario, most devastating thing ever. If you show up in fear, in rigidity, in resistance, in anger, in devastation, in hopelessness, to those vibrational frequencies, which are just emotions, are those emotions going to be what helps lovingly support the person who was just in that accident? Nope. It should be easy to clearly see that right now with the way in which I am teaching this to you. Nope. The last thing we want to do is harm others when they've already been harmed. Add to the harming of them. Think about this. Psychologically, emotionally, mentally, what the hell are they going through? The last thing you want to be is somebody that adds to that level of stress, that trauma, that harm, because you are allowing your programs, your lack of surrender, you're allowing that to build up inside of you. You're creating more and more resistance, more contraction, more rigidity to what's happening. And then you're going to go visit that person and they're going to feel that from you. That's not helpful. That's not divinity, which means it isn't loving. As challenging as it is, and it is a moment to moment, this specific example, you need to be able to move through every way of oneness to evolve into the way of presence, to truly live in the way of presence with this example, so that you are continually in real time healing what comes up for you, the fear, the grief, the shock, the horror, the tragedy, all of it. In real time, you're able to do that when you learn this work. And then to be able to offer the peacefulness, the divine expansion, the love, the compassion for your loved one. Now imagine being able to offer that versus fear and all the other lower vibrational frequencies, which are just lower negative emotions. Your emotions are not wrong. You're never suppressing anything. You are the way of responsibility. You are seeing what you need to heal in real time with yourself. You are becoming the way of responsibility, patience, surrender, etc., so that vibrationally you can be divine light. You can be more expansive. You can be divinely powerful. You can feel energetically safe, loving, and supportive of the person who just had a terrible accident. And that is the energy and the vibrational frequency that you can offer when you learn how to truly become the universal ways of oneness, when you learn the work that we teach at mastersofselfuniversity.com. This is what you learn step by step by step, and how to do, what to become, how to become it. Because the truth is, life happens and terrible things happen and tragedy strikes us unexpectedly. The things that you never expect, things that are awful, things that you cannot predict, things that knock you on your ass and change your life. And as horrible as those things are, you have powerful tools to support you through those really hard times. You guys, becoming an enlightened being of oneness consciousness doesn't mean you don't get shaken to your core. It doesn't mean you don't go through tragedy and trauma ever again because enlightened people don't feel normal human that's insanity. Yes, you will. But the highest being that you can become in a lifetime, the highest, most elevated being, a being of oneness consciousness, an enlightened being of oneness consciousness, means you have the divine power within you at all times to activate your light, your divinity when you need it the most. And if you are not learning this work and you're not practicing this and you're not becoming this in your everyday, then a terrible tragedy strikes. Guess what's going to happen to you? It's going to swallow you up. There's your unhealed. It's going to turn into trauma. You're not going to heal from it. There's your depression. There's your anxiety. There's your path to suffering, long-term suffering. Remember what suffering actually is. It's just chronic, unhealed pain. It is an accumulation of chronic, unhealed pain. That's what suffering is. If you're not becoming these things, if you're not learning this work and becoming energetically a higher level of consciousness that knows what to do, how to do it in every given moment in your everyday life, you will not be powerful enough when the tragedy strikes. And you're going to experience trauma and tragedy. You're human. That life includes tragedy and trauma. We don't get to escape that. I don't know when tragedy or trauma is going to hit me in my life. Of course, you don't worry about it. You don't live in fear. You don't think about it. There's endless possibilities for positive things to happen, for negative things to happen. And some of the things that happen to us in life are scary. They're awful. They're horrific. They're traumatic. When you learn this work, you heal it in real time so it doesn't become a massive wound. It doesn't turn into depression or anxiety. It doesn't turn into endless years and decades of suffering that you can't get out of. It doesn't turn into suicidal tendencies because you can't live like this anymore. This is preventative holistic medicine, for crying out loud. This is preventative, holistic, mental and emotional and spiritual health. That's all that we do at Masters of Self University. It's a very holistic approach to living life. That's what oneness consciousness is. So when you understand what it means to lack surrender, that you are in resistance to what is and you fight what is, and here's where it gets confusing. But don't we need to fight the system? Don't we need to fight the powers that be that are corrupt and awful? Yes, but the word fight has a different vibrational frequency when you are an elevated being of oneness consciousness. Even as a student of oneness consciousness, you're just learning about the ways of oneness. You're just learning through our coaching programs how to start to become, how to heal, very powerfully expand your divinity and become the vibrational frequencies of a divine, truly divine person, awakened being. Even if you're just a student, just learning this work, I want you to understand the word fight has a different vibrational frequency. You're not third dimensional, low level of consciousness, violently fighting to dominate, to abuse, to harm anything or anyone. You're fighting, quote unquote, in an elevated way. You are rising against. Now, language is limiting. No words are perfect. That's why I often describe things in several different ways so that it hits however you will be able to take it in and understand it and comprehend it. You're not in resistance to what is. So even rising up and fighting against, the word against, has a different definition, has a different vibrational frequency. You're not in resistance to. You see things for what they are. I am not in resistance to, our government, for example. And our entire government is corrupt. They are filled with people that commit fraud, that steal from all of us, that lie to us, that brainwash us, that enslave us. Okay, so this is now another example, and a deeper example of the way of surrender. The way of surrender doesn't mean that I am okay with any of it. I am running for president, for Christ's sake, in 2024. Even though it is seemingly impossible for me to have a chance at winning this year, this time around, I'm still running. I'm rising up. Okay. I can do that, and I can flow with being a role model for change. I can flow with walking my talk and being a teacher of oneness for real, because I am the way of surrender. That means what I see in our government, all the fraud, all the lies, all the stealing, all the corruption, all the lobbying, all the everything that goes on. Okay. I can see it for what it is in the way of truth, as the way of surrender. And it means, oh, I don't like that. I don't function in those ways. I don't lie and steal from people. You know, the way of integrity is one of the ways of oneness. Okay, our government lacks that. So the way of surrender means you see all this corruption and all this chaos and all the things. The way they poison our food and make us sick, and then they give us cancer treatments for the cancer that they cause. All of it. I see it for what it is, and I don't resist it because I don't want to be locked into that reality. Instead, I rise above. When my vibrational frequency is a higher vibrational frequency, so think about this. The way of surrender, number 3 out of 20 of the universal ways of oneness. Every single universal way of oneness, all 20 of them. When you energetically, remember, we are nothing but energy. When you energetically become those elevated vibrational frequencies, so your baseline frequency is already vibrating at a much higher level than what our government functions as. And our government functions at an extraordinarily low, evil, extremely negative vibrational frequency. Very, very, very low. I mean, it's like demonic level low, our government. When that vibrational frequency, with all the lies and the stealing and the corruption and the bullshit, the enslavement, the enslaving and oppressing women to a degree where they want us to now become nothing but baby makers, and they're taking all of our rights away and all the things. When that disgusting low level of consciousness exists and functions, your job is to heal anything and everything, whether you realize it's in you or not. You've been conditioned by these slave owners, remember? So your vibrational frequencies, some of them that match what's going on in the government, that is where you need to see that you need to heal and rise above. You can't do that if you resist what is. You can't do that by pretending you don't have some of the same programming, some of the same vibrational frequencies flowing through you because you've been brainwashed and conditioned. Hello. You can't pretend like you have nothing in common with those fuck faces in our government and think that you're better than them. That locks you into that reality. And that's how energetically, vibrationally, we continue to create a government that enslaves us. You lack surrender. When you become the way of surrender, you are in flow. You can rise up. So think about this. That negative low vibrational frequency of our government. Oh, if I become the vibrational frequency of the way of surrender, of the way of responsibility, and then patience, and then surrender, I am now rising above the vibrational frequencies of where our government functions. Do you see it? Now that I am the way of surrender, and then I become the way of truth, and then I become the way of presence with all of this, I'm going higher and higher in my vibrational frequency. I now have the energetic, vibrational power to transform the negative low shit that's down here, the negative low energies and vibrational frequencies that are down here that our government is at. So you rise above. Oh, I see what this is. I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to flow and rise higher. I'm going to fly up higher. I can't do that if I'm rigid and my energy is contracted and I'm trapped in anger and all the things. I rise higher vibrationally. I become the change I wish to seek in the world. Do you see it? When you truly learn how to do this, you can change the entire world. And the more of us who can become this and do this, we together unite, we become 10 times more powerful, 1,000 times more powerful, literally 1,000,000 times more powerful together when we unite together. Uniting together in negativity and low vibrational frequencies makes that more powerful. Doing the inner work, the individual work that you need to do first to rise above and go way higher in your frequency, just because you don't agree with what goes on down here, just because you don't want this to be happening, doesn't mean you are way higher in your vibrational frequency. That is what you need. That's the key. That's what you need to understand. Oh, I'm not that vibrational frequency because no, you have a tremendous amount of unhealed shit, which means those are the same vibrational frequencies as what's going on in our government, which is why we offer the work that we offer at Masters of Self University. Those vibrational frequencies, when somebody is in an accident or you're in a relationship or you're in a whatever life situation that you don't want to be in anymore, you have to understand that your emotional reaction to it alone locks you into that reality. We are creating and co-creating these realities for ourselves every moment of every day. And we don't realize how this actually works and how we are actually consenting to that reality. And consenting to that reality means it seems the opposite. I'm in resistance. I don't like this. I don't want to be a part of this. Great. You made that decision. And now you have to surrender into it and realize this is my reality right now. This is happening right now. Feel your body as I describe that. So we're going to do a little exercise. We're going to end this session, this podcast episode, with a little exercise. If you are in a place where you can sit quietly and close your eyes, I'm going to invite you to do that. If you're not, if you're driving or something, if you're in a place where you cannot do that, then I'll invite you to pause this and come back when you're able to do this. Okay? So here's the first thing we're going to move through energetically. Close your eyes, and I want you to just observe your body as I say what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say, I want you to observe the impact energetically that it has on your body. Okay? Take a nice, deep, slow, cleansing breath and feel your body. As I say, I don't like this. This isn't fair. I don't want this to be happening. This is bullshit. I hate this. This has to change. I want to change it right now. I'm totally against what's happening. I don't accept this in any way, shape, or form. I can't stand this. This cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. I refuse to believe that this is happening right now. Just feel your body. Feel the heaviness. Feel the denseness that got created. Feel the thickness and energy. Feel how you feel lower and heavier. And now, take one deep breath and feel your body as I offer this. I am the way of surrender. I see what is in truth with wisdom. I can see what this is, and I am the way of surrender. And as the way of surrender, I elevate out of this experience. I am the way of surrender. I have the divinity, the power, the flow to rise up and rise out of this reality. This is no longer my reality. I am the way of surrender. I have the light, the power, the divinity to rise up out of this reality. I create a new reality for myself because I am the way of surrender. I connect in flow with the universe. I am fluid. I am in flow with what the universe has to offer to me. And the universe has to offer me a different reality that is a higher vibrational frequency because I am a higher vibrational frequency. I am the way of surrender. Breathe and feel your body now. Feel your energetic system now. Feel how fluid and flowy you feel. That power that you can rise out and do anything, rise up and out of your scenario, that before is no longer your reality. And when you stay at this vibrational frequency right here, when you learn how to become this vibrational frequency and then maintain it as your default setting, that old reality of a few minutes ago can no longer continue to be the reality you experience. So, as long as I stay in this energy, this flow, this higher vibrational frequency, what then has to happen is my reality, my circumstances have to change. And when that involves other people, when that involves somebody that has been in an accident and their reality is still their reality, the two things that I have created, I might not be able to heal that person. I might not be able to change their reality for them. But when I am in this vibrational frequency, what you just received from me, what I just activated inside of you energetically, that higher state of flow, that higher vibrational frequency, what I have created is number one, I don't suffer through what is happening to this person. Why is that important? Not selfish. Get out of here with all you people pleasers and your brainwashed conditioning of suffering bullshit. I don't suffer when they suffer because I go higher. I rise above the suffering of this scenario. Why do I do that? That's the best vibrational frequency to offer them any chance at healing. See how selfless that is? So I will not suffer with you. That's why my number one is to heal me, the shock, the trauma, where however it affected me, I heal that in real time. And I don't stop doing that, becoming the way of surrender, the way of presence, and all the other ways of oneness, compassion, harmlessness and gentleness, unconditional love for this person. I can't do that by staying down at your level with the tragedy that just happened to you and being trapped in your reality with you. I can't help you heal. If there's any chance of you healing, I cannot offer it. I'm keeping you low and locking you into that lower dense reality because I'm in that lower dense reality. Do you see it? So I rise above so that I can offer you when I'm around you a higher vibrational frequency. You see how healing actually works? That is number two, the gift I then offer to you. By refusing to suffer with you, by rising above your suffering that you're experiencing right now, because I am the way of surrender, my vibrational frequency rises higher. So I no longer suffer. Remember, that's number one. This is everything we teach at Masters of Self University in our coaching programs. I no longer suffer. I heal, I rise up to a higher frequency than this current reality is. Why? Because number two, that's what will help create a different reality for all, whatever that means. Surrender, you can't be in control programs. I don't know what that means for you. What I do know as the way of wisdom, as the way of surrender, is if I am these higher vibrational frequencies when I interact with you, when I am around you, that is the best chance that you have to heal, to elevate you to a place where you may be able to heal. I am giving more powerfully that chance with someone else, for someone else, when I am higher vibrational frequency. Do you see it? And therefore, When I go and interact with them, I am always offering them those higher, enlightened, powerful vibrational frequencies, because it hopefully their body, their energetic system will entrain to mine, which means they'll heal out of their scenario. You see how this works? This is oneness. This is oneness energetics. And if you want to learn how to do this for yourself, get a free consultation at mastersofselfuniversity.com. Enter into one of our coaching programs where we teach you the foundation of this so that you can elevate higher into the ways of oneness and understand oneness energetics. It is the greatest gift you can give to anyone, to yourself, to all of humanity by learning this work. It is the greatest gift. And if we had even just 1 million people doing this work actively right now, learning what I just offered you today and becoming it, hearing about it in a podcast and becoming it are two different things. Listening to it doesn't change shit. Doing the work and becoming this and learning it through our educational programs at Masters of Self University, you becoming this for yourself. This is how we change the world. This is how we change people's scenarios and give them the best chance at healing that they can have. This is how we change our United States government. This is how we change other governments across the world globally, because we teach people in other countries how to become this too. So they have the power to remove corrupt people that should have not be in power, that should have no business being in power. This is how we change the world. Do you see it? If this moved you, if this hit and struck a chord with you, if this lit something in you and your soul is on fire by hearing this and learning about this, please share this with other people. It is critical that more people learn that they have the power to do this. Most people don't know how. Okay? Share this out. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like this. Comment below. Boost the algorithm so more people get exposure to these teachings. You understand, when we come together in these ways, this is how we change the world. Literally. Okay? It isn't good enough to just change policies or laws. It's not good enough anymore. Those days, that old world is over. We have to become a different kind of human being. And these are the teachings to teach you how. So let other people know. Spread the word. And go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Get a free consultation so that you can join one of our coaching programs so that we can teach you this one-on-one or in a group. Okay? It's incredible work. It is life-changing transformational work. The deepest level of transformation and elevation to the highest levels of elevation of enlightenment, which is oneness consciousness, that exists on this planet today. And you have access to it. Join our Discord channel, our Masters of Self University Discord channel. That's free. Take advantage of all the free stuff, you guys. Spread the word, share it out. And then also dive into our classes and our coaching programs so that you can become a being of oneness consciousness and help transform this world. Our world, all the animals, all of nature, Mother Earth herself, all the humans on this planet desperately need that. We desperately need you to do that. We need to come together and do this together. Thank you for listening. As always, it's always such a pleasure. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.